Mechanism of hormone action in case of insects. So let's have a quick introduction about this topic. Hormone action in insects refers to the physiological and developmental effects exerted by specific chemical messengers known as hormones on various target tissues and cells within the insect's body. These hormones play a crucial role in regulating essential processes such as growth, development, metamorphosis, reproduction, and behavior. The action of hormones involves a series of steps, including synthesis and release of hormones from specialized glands, transport through the circulatory system in the sense in case of insect, that's hemolymph, then recognition by target cells through specific receptors, and subsequent signaling cascades within the cells leading to specific physiological responses. So there must be some different steps for this mechanism of hormone action. First, synthesis and release will be taking place. Hormones are produced by endocrine glands or specific tissues in response to physiological signals or external stimuli, and transport will be taking place. Hormones travel through the endolymph or other circulatory systems to reach target tissues or cells, and recognition, target cells possess specific receptors that recognize and bind to the hormone molecule. This interaction is highly selective, like a lock and key. First, recognition process. Okay, then signal transduction will be taking place. Hormone binding activates the receptor, initiating a cascade of intracellular events. So, hormone binding activates the receptor, initiating a cascade of intracellular events. This often involves second messengers or alterations in the activity of cellular proteins. Okay, so when we learn about this, we know the first step in mechanism of hormone action in insects is the synthesis of hormones. Specialized glands or tissues within the insect's body produce these hormones in response to various signals, including developmental cues or environmental factors. For instance, in insects, juvenile hormones are synthesized and released by the corpora allata gland, and ecdysteroids like ecdysone are produced by the prothoracic glands. The synthesis initiates the hormonal cascade that regulates crucial physiological processes in insects. Okay, so after synthesis happens, which is happening within the specialized glands, insects hormones are released into the endolymph. I told you, whenever a message is to be delivered, the chemical messengers need to be released into the hemolymph. Then into the hemolymph, the insect circulatory system. This release is prompted by developmental cues or environmental signals. Signaling through the bloodstream, hormones reach target cells where specific receptors await on the cell surface. The binding of hormones to these receptors initiate a cascade of intracellular events, including signal transduction pathways, which will be after some time. Okay. And signal transduction cascade in detail. The binding of the hormone to its receptor sets off a series of events within the cell. This often involves the activation of second messengers such as cyclic AMP or calcium ions and the modulation of protein kinase activity. These intracellular signaling pathways transmit the hormonal signal to the cell's interior. And gene expression regulation will be taking place. The activated signaling pathways can influence gene expression. This means that specific genes within the cells may be turned on or off, leading to changes in the synthesis of proteins or other molecules. And cellular changes will be taking place. The altered gene expression and protein synthesis result in specific cellular responses. This could include changes in cell structure, metabolism, or the activation of particular enzymes. These are some cellular changes taking place. Okay. Then physiological effects will be happening after this. The cumulative effect of these cellular responses manifests at the physiological level. For example, in insects, the actions of hormones may regulate molting, metamorphosis, reproductive processes, or behaviors. And feedback mechanisms. Through this process, feedback mechanisms operate to maintain balance. Excessive cellular response may trigger feedback loops that regulate the hormones production or signal transduction pathways. Feedback regulation will be taking place. So the cellular response triggered by hormone often feedback to the glands responsible for hormone synthesis. This feedback can be negative, where the cellular response inhibits further hormone production, or positive, where it stimulates hormone release. Negative feedback is particularly crucial in maintaining homeostasis and preventing excessive hormonal stimulation. Then adjustment of hormone levels based on the feedback received from the cellular responses. The glands adjust the production and release of hormones. If the cellular response indicates that the physiological needs have been met, hormone synthesis may be reduced. Conversely, if the response suggests a deficiency, hormone production may increase. So all this stuff comes under this feedback loop. Okay, don't forget to mention that. And homeostasis maintenance, the intricate interplay of feedback mechanisms ensure that the levels of hormones in the circulatory system are maintained within a specific range. This balance is essential for the proper functioning of physiological processes and preventing overstimulation or understimulation of target cells. And adaptation to changing conditions. The feedback mechanism also enables the insect to adapt to changing environmental conditions. For example, in response to seasonal changes or stresses, the regulation of hormone levels allows the insect to adjust its physiology and behavior accordingly. Okay, so we mentioned some important aspects related to the mechanism of action of hormones. Now let's learn some factors affecting hormone action. Factors that affect the hormones action of hormones. Endocrine gland, which endocrine gland is responsible for the production of this enzyme and hormone synthesis and hormone release and hormone degradation. Later, receptors on target cells. All these stuff influence action of hormones. Some other important points are also there, so we are going to learn all those points. Hormone concentrations. The concentration of hormone in the circulatory system influences the strength and duration of the hormone signal. Fluctuations in hormone levels can result from factors like developmental stages, environmental cues, or stress. And feedback mechanisms are there, we mentioned earlier. So negative feedback loops play a vital role in maintaining hormone homeostasis. These mechanisms regulate hormone production based on cellular responses, preventing excessive stimulation or inhibition. And environmental factors have a considerable amount of effect on this enzyme action. External conditions such as temperature, photo, spirit, and food availability can influence hormone levels and actions. Insects often use hormonal pathways to adapt their physiology and behavior to changing environmental conditions. And stress and environmental challenges are there. Environmental stressors such as predation, temperature extremes, or exposure to toxins can trigger hormone responses. These responses help insects cope with and adapt to challenging conditions. And genetic factors, variations in the genetic makeup of individuals can influence hormones, receptor expression, and function, leading to variability in the responsiveness to hormones. So these important factors, like genetic factors, are always different in case of each insect. Like one insect is having a particular kind of genetic makeup, the next one is having a different kind of genetic makeup. So their influence will be also different, like hormone receptor expression and its function. All this stuff are different in different individuals. Individuals in sense, different insects. Okay. Both different species or individuals from a same species. Now we are gonna particularly learn about this mechanism of hormone action in detail. In insects, there are various types of hormones that regulate different physiological processes. Steroid hormones such as ecdysteroids play a key role in molting and development, and sesquiterpenes, including juvenile hormones, are crucial for maintaining larval stages and regulating metamorphosis. Peptide hormones are there, like prothoracic hormone or PTTH, and many others are involved in the range of functions from growth to reproduction. So additionally, biogenic amines are also there, such as octopamine and serotonin, influence behavior, mood, and metabolic process. Okay. Together, these hormones ensure the proper functioning and adaptability of insects in their environment. So, Insect hormones affect a wide variety of physiological processes like embryogenesis, post-embryogenic, post-embryonic development, behavior, water balance, metabolism, caste determination, polymorphism, mating, reproduction, diapause, and some other factors. So hormones like protein and polypeptide hormones are lipophobic and typically cannot pass through cell membranes without specific transport systems. So the receptors are usually located in the plasma membranes of target cells. These receptors are transmembrane proteins with extracellular membrane spanning and intracellular domains. A prominent group of such receptors is the 7 transmembrane receptor family, which has 7 membrane spanning helices and an intracellular domain linked to a G protein for signal transduction. So one of them is G protein mediated one, which we will be learning. Then modes of action. Non-polar hormones are there. Hormones are able to enter the cell and bind to cytosolic and nuclear receptors. For example, juvenile hormone is like that. Ecdysteroids is also an example for this. Then polar hormones are there. Hormones cannot pass through the cell membrane. Then via the synthesis of second messenger molecules that carry the message inside the cell. For example, peptide hormone is like that. So first one is G protein coupled receptor. Here we could see an image which represents this. Signaling molecules are present in this, extracellular space. From there, one of these signaling molecule binds with this receptor, G protein coupled receptor, which has 3 subunits like alpha, beta, and gamma. Then this activated G protein is also there, which helps to remove that signal from there, and which further activates the cellular cascade. When the hormone or other ligand binds to the extracellular domain, the receptor undergoes a conformational change, resulting in the activation of the enzyme linked to the intracellular domain or G protein. The activation of this intracellular enzyme is associated with the transduction of the hormone's message to the interior of the target cell. So here we could see a phosphorylation cascade for one. Yeah. A signal molecule is there, receptor is there. This one is a general mechanism. First receptor is there, which is standing like standing there. So signal molecule come and attach to this receptor. Then inactivated protein kinase 1 got activated. So it is some sort of activated relay molecule which helps in this activation process. Inactive protein kinase 2 got activated from this, and inactive protein kinase 3 got activated. Then next inactive protein got activated, active protein cellular response. So when we try to learn this in detail, a relay molecule activates protein kinase 1. Active protein kinase 1 transfers a phosphate from ATP to an inactive molecule of protein kinase 2, thus activating this second kinase. An activate protein kinase 2 then catalyzes the phosphorylation and activation of protein kinase 3. Okay. And finally, active protein kinase 3 phosphorylates a protein that brings about the cell's response to the signal. So all these can be stated as a phosphorylation cascade. The next is channel linked receptor. Ligand gated channels are a type of membrane protein that open or close in response to the binding of a chemical ligand such as a neurotransmitter to a specific site on the channel. When the ligand binds to the extracellular domain of the channel, it induces a conformational change in the protein structure, causing the channel to open. This opening allows specific ions to flow across the cell membrane following their electrochemical gradient. The movement of ions changing the membrane potential, leading to various cellular responses such as initiation of action potential in neurons or muscle contraction. Once the ligand dissociates from the cell channel, the channel returns to its closed state, halting ion flow and ending the signal transduction. Here you could see closed channel is there, signal molecule is present, which got itself attached to this channel, closed channel, and it opens, so open channel will be there. An enzyme linked receptor. Enzyme linked receptor, also known as catalytic receptors, play a key role in cellular signaling. When a ligand binds to the extracellular domain of the receptor, it induces a conformational change that activates the receptor's intrinsic enzymatic activity or associated with an enzyme. And common type of enzyme linked receptor is the receptor tyrosine kinase, or RTK in short. Upon ligand binding, RTK is dimerized and autophosphorylase tyrosine residues in their intracellular domains. These phosphorylated tyrosines serve as docking sites for various signaling proteins, initiating a cascade of downstream signaling events. This cascade ultimately leads to changes in gene expression, cell growth, differentiation, or metabolic activity. The signal is terminated when this ligand dissociates and phosphatases dephosphorylate the receptor. Signaling molecule is there, inactive enzyme is there, activated enzyme got activated. So substrate will activate the effector. So intracellular receptors are also there. We mentioned signaling molecule, directly passes into the extracellular, from extracellular space into the cytoplasm. Inactive receptor is the activate receptors. Active receptor will be there after this binding. Intracellular receptors are typically located in the cytoplasm or nucleus and are involved in the action of steroid hormones. When a steroid hormone crosses the cell membrane due to its lipophilic nature, which binds to an intracellular receptor, this hormone receptor complex undergoes a conformational change, enabling it to translocate into the nucleus if it is not already there. Once in the nucleus, the complex binds to specific DNA sequence called hormone response elements, which regulates the transcription of target genes. This leads to the production of mRNA and subsequent protein synthesis, ultimately resulting in various chemical, cellular effects such as altered metabolism, cell growth, and differentiation. The signal is terminated when the hormone is metabolized and the receptor returns to its inactive state. So we mentioned important types. Now let's have a quick summary about this. Numerous hormonal substances control the physiological, developmental, and behavioral activities of insects. These belong to three major chemical classes like steroids, molting hormones, secretorbins or juvenile hormones, and polypeptides. Hormones are secreted by specialized glandular tissues in various body regions and by modified neurons like neurosecretory cells. Regulation of hormone pictures involve changes in synthesis, release, activation, degradation, and excretion. Hormones act upon target tissues via cell membrane and nuclear receptors, eliciting cellular responses and changes in gene expression patterns. So, thank you for listening.